All right, awesome, guys. It is 1 o'clock, and we're going to get started with attracting teams and brokerages. I'm Chris Baer, Vice President of U.S. Exponential Growth, and I am honored and excited to introduce to you David Kurtz, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. David was a 9 years in the United States Marines, and where he earned his MBA. He's 15 years in real estate with over 2,500 home sales, both in the luxury market of Miami and the FHA VA markets. In 2016, left a luxury brand brokerage and he began his own company. So important with that ownership mindset there. He's written 2 books. He's on his third right now. Man, I admire that, David, so much. He's the creator of the Real Talk Conference. I've been to it. It's awesome. Hosted the Real Talk podcast and hosted the weekly enterprise coaching session on Facebook. He's posted over 400 videos on YouTube on business and real estate. 2019, David had 3 offices and 197 agents. In October of 19, David merged with eXp Realty, and he is now focusing on his 13-member sales team and growing his enterprise network to a whole new level. Everybody, please welcome David Kurtz up here, and I hope you guys have an amazing session.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, Chris. It's an absolute honor to do this. I'm super pumped that you guys may have heard me a few minutes ago say I'm a little bit nervous, and I'll tell you why that is. I feel like I'm moderating a panel of absolute superstars. I've got Mitch, Ribak, Kyle Whissel, Bill Price, Chuck Fazio. How you guys doing today?
Good, buddy.
Doing awesome.
Doing awesome.
Awesome, man. So, Chris gave us a big round on or gave everybody a little explanation of me. Obviously, I was brokerage, or I don't know, medium-sized brokerage. 3 offices, 197 agents merged in just in October, and we're having a blast. So I want to go with you guys. First thing I want to ask, give us a brief summary of your real estate background, experience as a broker, team leader. If we could start with Mitch.
All righty. Good morning. So I was broker for 13 years here in Brevard County, Florida. I've been in the business for almost 20. And with eXp for 3, I had 120 agents at one point. Chasing the broker dream, which we all believe is real. And like I said, merged in 2017 of June with 40 of my agents. I had let go a bunch of agents months before I decided to switch over to streamline my business.
Awesome, man. Kyle.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Kyle Whissel out of San Diego. Prior to coming over, I ran an independent brokerage in San Diego. I had about 25 agents on my team when I ran that. We made our transition over to eXp about 2 years ago. We've gone from 25 agents to nearly 50 agents now. So we've almost doubled in size, and we're on track to sell somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 to 400 million this year, depending on when this stupid coronavirus thing gets over with.
Man, that's exciting. Bill Price, sir.
Okay, I'm an entrepreneur by heart. Before I got into real estate, it was Subway sandwiches, shops, only 3 of them, 6 curves for women, nightclub, iron club, restaurants. So I kind of done it all. And with the entrepreneurial spirit, real estate just, sucked me in. I was with KW for a long time, always individual agent. I went to a discount firm where it was $400 a transaction. But when I saw the benefits, when I talked to Brent Gove and Greg and Joey from the LePage Johnson team, I came over. I've been with eXp now for the last 3 years, and I've been in real estate for 15 years.
Awesome, Bill. Thanks so much. Chuck Fazio. Now, Chuck's going to drop the mic on everybody now. Let's do it, Chuck.
Chuck Fazio, Arizona. We built our brokerage since 2005. Built it up to one of the largest independent brokerages in the country, 900 agents. We're members of Riz Media's Billionaire Club, Real Trends 500 Top Brokers, Swain Pool, Mega 1000, Dave Ramsey, Momentum Award, and authors and speakers. And I'm just pumped to be part of eXp to build something even bigger than I built.
And I'm glad that you said that, because I think that we're going to be talking a lot about that mentality today when we talk about attracting brokerages and attracting large teams, is taking the mentality and letting folks know you can build something way bigger than you ever imagined. And that's something that you did, coming 900 agents strong. So what do you think, top teams and broker owners are attracted? Why do you think they're attracted to the eXp model and this particular opportunity that eXp has offered us?
Is that one for me?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Rock it out.
All right. Well, just to let everybody out there know, it's a mindset, guys. You're not going to go after these big fish and just expect them to close them with one phone call. So there's many things that broker owners are looking for. It's not always a one size fits all, but I will tell you that most of them have D personalities. That means they're drivers. So one thing I could say is get to the point when you're speaking to someone, and they're not always going to tell you their pain points. So as a broker owner, some of the biggest pain points is being able to leverage across the country is a big deal. It also helps get rid of overhead, lawsuits, staff, responsibilities. Um, there's a lot of things that go into running a brokerage that most agents don't realize. And it's a process. So understand it's a process to talk to big teams and brokerages.
Think that you brought up something really interesting, and it's the pain points of running a brokerage. And I could go on for hours on this, but I'd like to bring some up. Kyle's on here with us too, and he was a team and coming in strong and came to eXp and is really doing big things. Kyle, what were some of the pain points that you found, and what were the opportunities that you saw with eXp?
Yeah, I think I got to the point, dude, where I got so sick of getting letters from the Department of Real Estate when somebody in my company did something stupid. Like when I had a situation where an agent gave the buyer keys 3 days before closing and the buyer started demoing the house before they ever owned it. The neighbor took a video, sent it to the Department of Real Estate, and now not only does the agent get that letter, but I get that letter now. And now I've got to step in. I've got to defend that. I had a deal where an agent got a deal that was there was a power of attorney involved. Somebody was incapacitated, and they got 2/3 of the way through the transaction and realized they were missing a page of the power of attorney. Conveniently, the page with the freaking signatures on it. That deal blew up. Now that buyer's suing because they did inspections and appraisals and all of that stuff. Not only does my agent get the letter, but I get the letter. I have to defend it. And so I got so sick of that stuff, because what happens is that you only have, there's time and money, and those aren't honestly a big deal, but what is a big deal is mental capacity. And we only have so much mental capacity. And when we're wasting that mental capacity on dumb stuff like that we didn't do, that there's nothing we could have done to prevent it. It was just dumb agents doing dumb things. But now we're taking our mental capacity and using it on those things. And those things stress you out. When you start getting letters from attorneys and you get all this threatening stuff, that really affects not only your business life, but it affects your personal life as well. It literally makes it hard to sleep. And I got so sick of dealing with that stuff that the ability to come over here and not have to deal with any of that stuff anymore. And that's been so liberating. I've still sometimes get those because people think I'm the broker. And I got one recently, and it was like, your agent did this, your agent did that. And it was like screenshot, screenshot, screenshot. And I was like, sorry, you have the wrong person. Forward. If you need to reach her, here's her contact info. And now I can just go back on about my day and go back to selling more homes. That has been amazing. That's why we're going to sell twice as much this year as we sold 2 years ago before we made the move.
I think you're on the point. My favorite lawsuit as a broker owner was getting sued for sending a mass text message.
Right.
And there's no way around that. That becomes a federal issue, and it's crazy what we go through on a mental level. And I always say that now, coming to eXp, we're able to chime in or really button down and focus on what we're extra passionate about. Mitch, what did you find attractive with eXp? What do you think top teams and broker owners are looking at, and why they're moving?
Sure. So, well, I'll tell you. So, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why they're moving. My biggest thing was I really got tired of chasing people to help make them successful. And it was probably the most frustrating part of being a broker was the lack of control I have. You know, I've owned 22 companies in the past 40 years, and this is the only company I've ever owned that I didn't have any control of what my agents did. Very, very frustrating. So I think when you're looking at it as a broker, and it took me 2 years to join. Going back to what Chuck said earlier, I did not pull the trigger quickly. You guys have a lot more opportunity now because when I joined, at the time I was the biggest brokerage. It's kind of funny sitting next to Chuck. I'm like, all right, so Chuck, you brought over 900, I brought over 40, but I was a big deal back then. But the reality is ego really played a big part in it, and I still see that a lot in the people that I talk to these days from a broker standpoint. So one of the things I think you have to really understand that most brokers are not going to tell you their pain points if you're an agent. Brokers will talk to brokers about their pain point, and I talk to brokers. I train brokers all over North America, have been for years, and the number one pain points are that they're really not making any money, even with 120 agents. I think my best year I made $200,000 profit. Not really worth doing. I make more money selling houses. So when you're approaching a broker, you really need to be a little more understanding that they're going to be very guarded in what they tell you. And that's why it's important to get another broker who's switched over to be involved in the conversation as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mitch. I think, for the folks out there that are hearing the doom and gloom of being a broker owner, it's not all doom and gloom, but these are the pain points that maybe you, as not being a broker owner, and just, wanting to attract brokerages and large teams, these are the pain points that you have to understand in order to have those conversations and bring folks like these guys on the stage who've done it and ask them for help. So, Mitch, that was a great one, man. All right, so let's move over to Bill. Bill, what are the top objections that you're hearing from some of these teams? Because Mitch just talked about it. He said they're highly guarded. Ego plays a really big part in it. I know it did for me for 2 years, guys. All right, So what are the top objections that you're hearing, and how do you overcome these objections?
Well, the first thing I think is what Mitch said also, right? A lot of these broker owners have created a logo they liked, a brand they liked, and now they have to switch it over and be married to eXp. So we have to reassure them that they're not going to lose their identity. It still can be price powered by eXp. But one of the biggest things I found is how are they going to tell their agents they have to change the model? And showing the benefits of eXp in change model. And how do I do that? It's all about preparation value. So if I'm going to sit down and talk to a giant like Fazio, who is he wants to get a point, right? Don't build me a clock. Tell me what time it is. I have to be prepared going into that meeting, and I have to really sit down with a business proposal and show him all the benefits of eXp and show him a comparative analysis, a spreadsheet of what he was making with the rev share and the stock. Back to the agents, they're going to want to know how I can convince my agents. It's obviously good for me, but how can I get my agents convinced that this is a good change for them? And how do I handle that objection? What do agents want, right? They want leads. So I reassure them that they're going to get a great website, get great leads, great support, get great training. Sometimes it's pretty obvious how Chuck and Kyle Whissel can benefit from the eXp benefits, but how can their brokerage benefit?
Man, it's great stuff, and I want to open it up to everybody. So I'm not calling your name. If you got something to say, jump on in. But I'll jump into Chuck here for a second and ask you. We're hearing that's one of the biggest objections I think that anyone will get. Okay, that once they get past ego and everything else, this is great for me, but how does it apply to everyone else that I want to bring over? And furthermore, how do I retain them, bring them and retain them? And you, Chuck, you have 900 agents, and what was your move like, and how do you overcome those types of objections?
Well, there's a lot of stuff there. I want to backtrack just 1 second, so that our audience understands. If you are trying to attract brokers, owners, and big teams, I think one of the biggest things is pride and ego, like we're hearing. So how do you overcome pride and ego? The only way you overcome pride and ego is not by telling them and showing them common sense. It's more emotional. It's coming alongside someone and just being there for them. One of the things nobody likes to be is sold, especially owners of their company. They don't want to abandon what they build to be sold on something. So by coming alongside, showing them, not trying to talk somebody into something, believe me, they see what you see, but they're not using logic all the time. The other thing that I know was a big deal for us, me and Angela had to get over, is being a people pleaser. And you got to understand, when you own a company and a good one, you form really deep rooted relationships with a lot of your agents. So the thing that always stayed in my mind is, what are my agents going to think of me? How are they going to feel? And you get to a certain point where it's your life, it's your why. As long as I know in my heart I'm doing what's best for me, my family, and my company, then I'm okay with it. Because I'm going to tell you, people really don't care about you. And you start to see that, which will transition into, how do I talk to my agents when we were ready to make the move? Well, I understood going into dealing with 900 agents that most of it was going to be pushback, number one. Number two, with a brokerage that size, not like we're going to be able to get in front of our agents first and explain what we're doing. We knew the competitors were going to be busting down our doors, feeding them every line of crap you could imagine. And once starts to get into somebody's ear, they take that as truth. One of the best lines I've heard is, if you're looking to buy a Chevy, you don't walk into a Ford dealership and ask them about a Chevy. And that really was what happening when they got wind of what we were looking to do, because quite honestly, somebody I trusted leaked it out. And you have every company calling my agents, literally trashing us, bad mouthing eXp and everything else. It is tough to overcome some of these objections. I don't know if there's a ringing noise out there. Um, anyway.
Yeah, there
So,
is. Ladies and gentlemen out there, if you can, please mute your microphones, so we don't get the background noise and we can hear what our panel's saying. Thank you, everyone.
so, so here's the answer to your question. How do you deal with the agents when you're ready to make a move? Well, the best way to do it is present the facts. Um, and you have to have some level of trust with the agents and vice versa. And once they hear the facts and you present it to them, listen, they're independent contractors. One of the biggest myths out there is that broker owners own a business. We don't own a business. My company, for all purposes, was not sellable. I've got offered millions of dollars for my company throughout the years, but it always came with the stipulation. And the stipulation is, I have to remain on board as a staff member for a couple of years. And it's also contingent on how many agents I can keep. Agents are independent contractors. They can go wherever they want. So the best thing I could do is present the facts, present my vision, and literally show my agents that they don't no longer make me money. I'm working with them as a partner to help them make money as a partner. So that's what we did.
If you don't
That's
mind,
huge.
I
Anybody
want
want to jump on that?
to tag on to that, what Chuck was saying,
Absolutely.
because that's such a huge part of this. You know, we didn't get a lot of guidance when we moved over, because again, in fact, Mitch Robinson, I think, was 1 week into the business at that point, into our company. But that was my biggest struggle. So what I did, and it's tough because, like Chuck said, as soon as it gets out to the public, we were swarmed, or we were attacked by agents. Even my own compliance manager was recruiting agents under me to another brokerage. While I paid his salary, very awesome stuff. But the things that we learned from that is, at least I did, was in how I address my agents. And what I did is I took my 34 top agents, which did 92% of my business, and I put them in a room and had a heart-to-heart conversation with them about what I was thinking and wanted their buy-in. And we were blessed that 33 of the 34 bought in when we came over, and most of those people are still with me. We came in with 40, and 36 are still with me of the original 40. Talking about the pain part of it from a broker's standpoint, I was 55 when I started looking at this, and my biggest fear was what happens if I die. So if you're looking at a broker that's in their 50s or even late 40s, or the ones that have young kids, what happens if you die? And the reality is, at the time when I had 120 agents, if I died, my agents just went on to another world, right? They left. That's the way it works. If I died, my family's taken care of now. I don't have to worry about if I die today. My wife's taken care of, my kids taken care of, my grandkids are taken care of, because I've been able to leverage myself over the last 3 years almost to build a formidable organization that helps me and my family forever. So I think when you're talking to brokers, those are really important things. What's the transition look like? Which it's really important now to get Chris Beers or Sam Rodriguez involved in the transition team, and understanding when you're looking at their biggest pain is at 50, 52, 55 years old or older, if something happens to them, their family gets absolutely nothing. And that's been my point that I've been using for everybody that I talk to, because that was my reality. When I looked in my mirror and I said, what happens if I die today? Everybody leaves.
Man, I'm glad that you pointed that out, because in my, prior to my transition, one of the things that I saw was a broker owner in South Florida had a heart attack and passed away, and her brokerage was kind of like she had a partner, but she was the face, she was the go-to, and I could see the vultures, all the brokers just ramming in to go recruit as much as possible, and I thought to myself, something happens to me, where do we go from here? So great content, guys. I hope everybody's enjoying this. I'm gonna move into the very next thing, and I'll open this up for the first person who wants to chime in on it. I was when COVID-19 came on point, and that they started talking about the stay-at-home order, and then they issued the stay-at-home order. I sat in my car. I'll never forget this day. I sat in my car. I looked at my wife, and I said, "Babe, we just dodged a bullet by a hair." And she said to me, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Could you imagine if we had the stay-at-home order, and 6 days from now, first of the month rolls around, and we have $70,000 in overhead due? What do we do?" And she looked at me and she literally teared, and she goes, "Man, I'll tell you that we're in the best position we could ever be." So the question that follows this story is, why is now the best time to talk to top teams and broker owners, and how do you begin that conversation with them?
Well, David, I'll jump in if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So basically, what are we looking at right now? We were built for this pandemic, right? This happened at first. Everyone's kind of in a panic. I sat down and said, what would I do differently? I'm 54 years old. I am not a techie at all. But I sat down and painfully put together a listing presentation that I use virtually now, and have my team doing the same thing. And I'm getting more listings than I did ever before, because I can get to people right away. And when we're looking at brokerage owners, get rid of as we know, their brick and mortar. We have this group for all of us. And I was talking to Dom earlier, who's an amazing coach, and he actually has other people going in, sharing the suite with him, other coaches, other businesses, supporting the rest of his team. So I think team suites are one of the ways that we can help big brick and mortar look at this a different way.
All right. Anyone else want to chime in on that? How do we start this conversation with some of these top brokerages and top teams?
I'd like to chime in. I'm a little unconventional sometimes, and I know we're trying to catch this buzzword with we're built for this, and COVID-19. This is just my philosophy, and I think it helps with mindset. Every day is a great day to join eXp. I don't care what's going on in the world. People have different reasons why they join, and we just got to catch their pain points when they're ready. I also want to say to anybody who's talking to brokers or owners, don't try to talk them into thinking this is a parallel move that they're going to grow into. That's the wrong way of going about it sometimes, because I believe a lot of the times it's not a parallel move. I actually took about 10 steps backwards to grow more forward. And I understood that. So remember, when you're dealing with these brokers owners, they don't want to be sold. So don't feed them a line of crap because they see through it, which would then affect your position on speaking to them. Be honest with them. Don't have a problem with saying you might lose most of your agents. I knew that going into this, but the growth potential is there. So, like I said, sometimes we have to move backwards to move forwards. The other thing, when you talked about how do we open these lines of conversation, utilize your uplines, utilize people in the company. Don't be a lone ranger. That's what makes eXp so well. There's about 29,000 agents in the brokerage. Any one of you could reach out to me and get me on a call with any broker owner out there or team leader. Here's why: because I want to see this company grow. I'm your partner now. That's what you get. That's why I moved.
And I'll tag onto that too, Chuck, because that's, I do about 3 or 4 calls a week with brokers around, with brokers for other agents with eXp that I have no financial gain. And we are all here to help grow this company. That's the beauty of this company. That's one of the unintended consequences of joining that I had no clue. That when you're part of this company, that we're truly one fire, as Jay Kinder says, which I love that line. We all help each other. I've been, like I said, I do at least 3 calls a week rather, with people that have no financial gain for me. But the more brokers that switch, the easier it is for all of us to bring on more brokers, right? Much easier.
Yeah, I think one thing to touch on too is leverage the power of social media to announce every time a new brokerage comes over. It smooths the road for the next brokerage to come over. So if you're not sharing things like when a Chuck brings 900 people over, or Jason Ferris brings 80 people over, or when these bigger, or David, or all the people on this panel, when all these people come over, nobody knows about it unless you put it on their radar. And the best way to put it on their radar is with social media. And so when a new broker comes over, get it out there. Let people know that brokers are coming over, because everybody needs to see somebody like them make the move before they make the move. I think a lot of us, like, I didn't seriously look at eXp till I saw people that I knew, like, and trusted made the move. When I saw Jay Kinder move, I saw Chuck move, I saw Curtis Johnson move, like, that was when I was like, all right, I need to really look at this. Well, make sure your social sphere knows that there's brokers that are coming over, and they're like, oh, I didn't realize there was big brokerages that were coming over. I just thought it was for individual agents. I just thought it was for teams. So you got to get it on their radar. If they don't know about it, it's like Tom Ferry talks about, don't be a secret agent. Like, put it out there. Don't make it a secret that brokerages are coming over. You've got to put it out there on people's radar. And then when somebody does engage with you, I just want to echo what they're all saying, is that you've got to leverage the third-party call. The 3-way call is so valuable. Don't try to do this alone. If you've never been a broker, you don't understand the broker struggle, and it's going to probably be pretty hard for you to get the respect of a broker, because they're like, why am I talking to you? You sell 5 houses a year. You don't know anything. But now you bring Chuck on a call, bring me, bring Bill, bring Mitch, bring David, and you bring any of these people on a call, we'll all help you. Whether you're in our organization or not, we all want to help, because if we can help you bring that brokerage over, that roadway just got a little smoother for the next one, and for the next one, and for the next one. So all of us are constantly hopping on calls. We all want to help. We all want what's best for this company.
Hey, David, I'd like to piggyback up on what Chuck said. Years ago, you heard Gene Frederick say a forward thinker. So Chuck was a forward thinker. He knew by moving over his whole brokerage, he personally might take a hit for a year or two. So if you're approaching a guy like Chuck, like he said, be honest with me. Show me where the pain points are going to be. Show me where might lose some business or make less money. And like you said, sell this opportunity, just offer the opportunity. But you better not try to sell it and just show them all the flowers. Show them it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and what we were saying about leveraging the three-way call is extremely important, because we as former broker owners, we understand all those pain points in the transition, and it'll open up a much more real conversation with that prospective person.
Yeah, Kyle really just nailed it with that. And if you guys out there want a takeaway, here's your takeaway. Post constantly about who's making a move. I don't care who it is. When you see somebody post something that somebody joined, you repost it. And every time you post it, say, I just took on a new partner, and you keep regurgitating that, and we all do it. The noise we make out there, it's that FOMO. These people, the fear of missing out. I can't tell you how many people I've been coming in front with lately that say to me all the time, I've been watching your posts. I see the movement you guys are doing. And every one of you guys out there, I don't care if you didn't own a brokerage at all. I don't care if you haven't sold one house. If you keep reposting and saying, another one of my partners just came over, we are all partners, and let's give that appearance. We are all part of this company. Believe me, people are watching. And I really think we need to start doing that a lot more.
That's insanity. I think what we're saying up here is crazy. The chat is going crazy. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to it. 528 people in the room right now absorbing what you guys are giving out to them. One of the biggest things that I saw was, how do we know that these brokerages are moving? Tap into Workplace, guys. Go into Workplace. Look at the eXp announcement. eXp is very proud to announce it. They're going to be announcing it inside there. And another question was, how do I reach out to you guys? Workplace. Use Workplace chat. Use Workplace phone call. Use those things to get in touch with us. So, Kyle, I'll come back to you if I can, because you talked about consistent posting. I'm a big believer in that. I post probably like 20 times a day. And people ask me all the time, are people going to get tired of you talking about that all the time? My answer is, I don't care. If you're tired, unfriend me. I'll keep going. And so what are you doing to attract teams and brokerages, specifically you, Kyle? And I'll ask a couple of the other guys if you're doing anything different, but there's the posting on social media. What else?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing there is we do the Facebook Lives, and we're doing those even if it's not somebody who's in our organization. Like, let's say Chuck comes over and he's not in your line, like, reach out and say, hey, Chuck, I'd love to have you come on my Facebook Live show and just do an interview with you about your move. We'll just do like a quick 15-minute interview. Like, there's a lot of times we're interviewing people that aren't even in our organization just so we can create the content. So even if there's not an interview or something like that out there, now if there's 500 people in this room, if 500 people reach out to us, obviously that's not realistic, but do it in a nice way. Don't just be like, hey, come on my show, like build some value around it. Like, hey man, I respect you, like build the relationship just like you would anything else in life. And say, hey man, I'd really appreciate it if you could come on my show for like 15 minutes on my Facebook Live, or if I could just ask you a couple questions. It could even just be an Instagram story. You could say, hey Chuck, man, if you got just like 2 minutes, can you just shoot me like a really quick video that I can throw on my Instagram and put it in my stories? Like, just stuff like that is so freaking powerful. So those are just a couple of the ways that you can do it.
I want to say something to you guys too. I don't care if people say you guys are a bunch of recruiters. We're attractors. That's what we do. Listen, every company builds that way. There's a saying, misery loves company. The people that are sitting there bitching about us recruiting constantly, it's because they're jealous. Don't stop. Don't let people stop you from working. Seriously, that's probably the one thing I could say to you. Don't give up, and don't care what people have to say about you.
Yeah, don't judge yourself based on what people say about you, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. I love that, Chuck. I'm going to move on to how can we best prepare? How can we best prepare brokerages to move in? And we tapped on this a little bit. How do we best prepare them for the support that they'll receive during the transition, the pain points that they'll see during the transition? We touched about it a little bit with Chuck. We talked about losing agents. Yes, you're going to lose agents. Not everyone is going to go. And guess what? The ones that do come, you'll lose some of those too, because they might not feel right about the move or whatever the case is, or they're going to feel the culture may have changed or et cetera, things like that. How do you best prepare those brokerages, those teams, when they raise their hand and they say, you know what, Mitch, I'm ready to go, how do we best prepare them for the transition?
It really depends on the brokerage, right? I mean, obviously bringing over a brokerage of 40, 50, 100, 200 agents is a lot different than bringing over a 5 or 10 agent brokerage. So it's going to have different, different conversations. My conversation bringing over a 5 or 10 agent brokerage is really, it's a really simple thing. We're just bringing over a team, basically. That's in my brain, right? So that's pretty simple. Bringing over a large brokerage is a lot more involved, both from the onboarding standpoint and how to do that smoothly. We were, blessed that even though we didn't know what we were doing at the time, we were, I have my amazing partner, Pat Bertrand, who is the detail person, because I'm obviously the anal guy. I mean, the ADD guy. She's the anal girl. She knows everything. But bringing over a larger group, you have to be organized and you have to get involved with, Chris Pierce and Sam Rodriguez and their transition team, because everybody's different. They're dealing with multiple different types of brokerages. I don't want, as an agent or even an ex-broker like myself, you to be thinking that that you should be doing the heavy lifting. That's really up to Sam and Chris's job right now, and Dave Kernod. Bring them into the picture immediately when you have a team. The more you talk, the probably further away you're getting from getting them to join. I know that sounds wrong, but the more that you talk, the less it's easy to scare them away really quickly, and let the people who are professionals do it. They do it every day, right?
Right.
Here's what
Definitely believing in leveraging the folks that are here to make it happen for you and with you.
yeah,
And Chuck, chime in, please. Go ahead.
yeah, so absolutely. Chris and Sam are guys, if you don't know what they do, this is what they do it, and they do it really well. They're rock stars. I will say they are probably the reason why we pulled the trigger, hands down. And I knew they were selling me too, and hands down, they just came alongside. They care about you. But here's what I'm going to tell you too. There is really no blueprint to go, what's the easiest way to transition brokerages over? Here's what I can tell you. Now, knowing what I know, there are things I would have done differently. But you don't know that because nobody had a roadmap. And there's no way you could set a roadmap. So my best advice, if you do have a large brokerage, talk to me. I'll tell them what to do and what not to do, based on reality of what happened with us. You learn by doing. So I'm open to coming alongside Chris and Sam anytime to help any brokerage move over, because there are some things and the way you have to do them to maximize the move.
Yeah, I want to
Hey,
share
Dave.
something on this too, real quick. One of the things, like Dan Beer and I work here in San Diego, we do a lot of stuff together. We came to this realization not too long ago that we were being really, really stupid about how we were running our agent attraction business. When we run our regular real estate team, if we can net a 20 to 30% profit at the end of the day, we're absolutely killing it with our real estate teams. But we're looking at our agent attraction business, and we were running it at literally 100% profit. Like, we were spending no money on anything to attract people over. We started realizing we're being so stupid. Why are we running these two businesses so differently? I mean, if you've got a big broker on the line who's thinking about making a move, there's nothing that says you're committed to their success more than you hopping on a freaking plane and flying to their office and sitting down with them. These phone calls are great. Zooms, I don't know about you, but I'm freaking over Zooms. I can't stand Zoom anymore. Nothing goes further than you literally taking an entire day to hop on a plane and fly your ass up to wherever somebody's at, to sit down and walk through it and whiteboard it with them. Spend a little bit of money. Don't be cheap. Be willing to invest a little bit of money into attracting somebody like that over, because that really shows that you're invested in helping them and helping them succeed. So just think about that, and think about, like, I know Brent Gove has like a coach that he has to help out the agents that are in his line. Like, he's literally investing money in a coach to make sure that the people that he attracts over are successful and that they qualify and that he's providing value to them so that they want to stay a part of the company. So don't be afraid to actually make a little bit of an investment into your agent attraction, whether that be sweat equity, check equity. Now, of course, we're not buying people off, but we're investing money into things that are going to help them make the decision and come to the conclusion that this is a good fit for them.
I'm glad that you
I
brought
agree
that
with
up.
you 100%. I just want to bring up a point that Kyle just brought up. You got to invest. A year ago, I had the opportunity to fly out to Vegas to talk to Cody Lewis, who's with Realty One. I almost didn't do it, and it was going to cost probably $3,000 or so there and back and meet with this guy I never met. I flew out there, and he brought over two giant realtors, Joe D and Denise Klein, and now a year later, I've 82 agents in Las Vegas. So imagine, Chris, if I never took that plane ride.
Yeah, Bill, that's excellent. I think when I was being attracted, when I was the person on the other side to the company, I had some great folks. You're Nick Jordan from Dallas, Texas.
Mute your mic.
Mute your mic. There we go. All right. So when I had folks come down and meet me in Miami, Kevin Cottrell, which some of you know, Gene Frederick came down here. And then once things got serious, I spent the money and I chased down some folks to talk to in Vegas. I had meetings with people who had made the move. I did those things to make it happen. But in the beginning, don't be cheap. You know, if you're going to want to attract a big player, a big fish, or whatever you want to call them, you got to get in hard, guys, and you got to do it right. We've got about 3 minutes left. I'd like to go round robin and ask for some final thoughts. If we could start with Mitch.
Sure. Thanks again. This has been great. I really appreciate being on the panel here. So one thing I will tell everybody is if you don't ask, you don't get. I will say my biggest mistake I made coming on to this company was I didn't reach out to a lot of people that I never thought they would do this. And so therefore I never contacted them. And I can tell you that probably cost me a couple of thousand people because almost all the people that I would have called have joined now. So don't hesitate to reach out to people. Most of your brokers are out there are not making any money. And when I say money, making real money, they're basically making the same money amount they made when they sold houses, if not less. I was with a broker the other day from Washington State. We're talking about her joining, and 20 agents, she lost $65,000 last year. Lost $65,000. My typical year with 120 agents, I would lose $50,000 or maybe make $100,000, $150,000. It really, again, I made more money selling houses. So if there's anything you can take out of this call from me, ego plays a huge role. So you have to play into that and have to understand that, because that's what blocked me for 2 years was my ego. I was the guy, and now I'm just a guy with eXp. I'm not as important anymore. And the ability to leverage themselves. I'm talking to a broker right now with 300 agents, and he needs to get to 400, and he's freaking out about it. I said, "You're not leveraging." I go, "Those 300 people will turn into 3,000 people if you let it." So, understanding how to talk to a broker is huge. And again, thanks a lot for having me on here, Dave.
David, I would
Yes.
like to finish up with how we attract. We're a big family at eXp, and we all support each other, and you have to attract with integrity. Last year, I approached this guy in St. Augustine, Florida. I really wanted. His name is DJ, and he's got his own broker firm, and offices, probably 100 agents. And I sat down with him in his office, and we started talking. He's like, "Bill, I have a good friend in a coaching program that already approached me. His name is Kyle Whissel." And I looked right at him. I said, "Well, you know something? You need to call Kyle again, sit down again, come on over to eXp, I'll sponsor you, and then you and I can explode St. Augustine together." And I walked out of his office, and I called Kyle. We met 6 months ago at eXp conference. Tell me when you have DJ coming over, because I love to work with him. And that's the mindset going after these big brokerage firms because they're definitely approached by a lot of us.
Bill, that's amazing. It shows the level of commitment and honor that we have for each other. Kyle, you want to go with some last thoughts?
Yeah, the one thing that I want to say is majority of brokerages or brokers have come to a realization that agents don't work for them, they work for their agents. And I think it's really important to understand that when you're approaching a broker, because a lot of brokers, when they think about making a move, the first thing they think about is how is that going to affect my agents? Because as a broker without agents, we don't make any money. We're screwed without our agents. So our agents are who we work for when we are a broker. So one of the big things that was attractive to me in coming over was what was in it for my agents. When you're an agent, you sell a lot of homes, brokerages try to recruit you over. When you're a brokerage, an indie brokerage that sells a lot of homes, big brokers try to merge and acquire you. So we had a lot of the big brands try to acquire us. But what was going to happen for my agents if we went that route was they were going to get screwed. They were going to get stuck with some like franchise, royalty, resource fee, like whatever BS they were calling it that day. And there was really nothing beneficial in it for them. One of the reasons I made the move is I actually saw there wasn't just benefit for me, but there was benefit for my agents as well. The fact that the majority of agents have zero investment portfolio in their life. And the fact that now every single agent in my team has a stock portfolio built for themselves. That's pretty freaking cool because none of them had that before. And I could have given them stock in Whissel Realty before, but it would have been worthless. The fact that they actually own stock in a company now, that's a pretty cool thing. That's something that I could not provide previously. In addition, the fact that they have an opportunity to earn passive income because the majority of them don't have that. And there was really nothing I could provide to them before that could do that for them. I freaking love it now. There's agents on my team personally where they'll come up and be like, dude, my check last month covered my car payment. I got another guy who's like, my check last month covered my mortgage payment. How freaking cool is that? That's something that I couldn't provide to my agents before. And that was a huge part of why I made the move is it wasn't just for me, it was for my agents. And now because we made the move, my team size has doubled because my value proposition has actually increased because now I can do more for my agents, which are the people that I work for.
We're changing agent lives one day at a time, man. Chuck, final thoughts. We got about a minute, please.
Yes, sir. So here's my best advice to any of you guys. You want to be successful, it's up to you, period. Get out there and work. You only lose when you quit. Don't quit. The stuff works. Trust me. I see this industry at a level that most people never see it at. My wife and I built a brokerage up to doing 6,000 transactions a year, 2 billion in real estate. So leverage me. There's very few people in this industry sees this industry like the way we do. I'm your partner now. Let's get out there and let's blow it up. I want to see this company over 100,000 real quick.
Yes, man. I want to tell everybody that the primary word in broker is broke. Remember that. And you could change people's lives. You could. I had a 10-year plan. My wife and I had a 10-year plan for our brokerage. That 10-year plan is now our 18-month plan with what eXp has given us. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to moderate this and eXp for allowing us to get up here and give our passion to everybody. Thank you so much for being on this panel with me.
God bless.
Thanks, buddy. It's been great.
Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate it.